Hey, this is Nick from Remedy667.com, the best place on the internet for horror-themed fonts. And today is Horror Font Friday. And that means we're going to be making an alphabet. Today, this one does not come from a film like they typically do sometimes. I've been going a little off. But this one comes from a book, The Mystery of the Whispering Mummy. That's got some pretty cool lettering. This is actually from a book series that was The Three Investigators, I believe it's called, and was also branded as Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators. We have a collection of fairly beat up ones of these, as you can see. But all the books have like different lettering on the cover, kind of to go with the story. So, but today is the Mystery of the Whispering Mummy, and look at that lettering; it's grand. So let's see if we can do it some justice here. Well, I guess I should ungroup it first. And I'm going to run vector first aid on it just to clean up some of the points. I always forget to do that, almost. And I'm going to get my guides in order. And we'll go ahead and lock those. With, what was it, Command Option colon? Yeah. And you can hide them by Command colon. Yeah. Big fun. So I like that the G already has a little bit of overhang. Like, this is actually sized pretty good for how I'd want it. And I'm not 100% yet if I'm going to keep with the angle that it's at or bring it in a little bit. But we'll kind of make that decision as we go. I like that this S is so grand. It's kind of weird there's no T. And I'm going to make this W just a little bit smaller. Because if you notice the height difference in the caps with those M's, it's pretty noticeable. But not so much with the W. But it still has a lot of overage. All right, so let's get started. I think to make my A, I'm actually gonna take a page from this M's book and go ahead and just cut it right there and angle this a little bit. And I'm going to take, actually, let's do a little bit low-hanging fruit here while we got this E open. We'll go ahead and take care of this F. Balance that out a little bit. We'll bring this in a little bit just to give it some variation. The top still pretty similar. For the L, I'm actually going to grab this I, which is a little crustier than the E. So I think that'll help give this a little more flavor. And I think I'm going to build an O while I'm at it too, because an O is going to come in handy when I get to the C. And then I'll go back to building the M, or the A, or whatever we're doing. I know what we're doing. Don't worry. I got it all on tape. So I've never actually read any of these books, but they seem kind of interesting. I don't know if you know this, but I collect a lot of things and a lot of books. And yeah. That's all I got to say about that. No, I collect a lot of stuff and spooky stuff, all that sort of thing. So an Alfred Hitchcock children's book for, you know, like teen horror book that's branded with his name was just right up my alley of a thing to find in the wild. We go to a lot of antique stores and Goodwill, so we find a lot of secondhand stuff. It's all about the hunt. And yeah, I don't know. It's fun. And I've always hear like other people who do like design and stuff talk like that. Like, oh, you know, I collect this. My garage is a mess, you know. Bring this down a little bit. I'm going to overlap it. I've been doing this destructive trick lately as opposed to working non-destructively, but just putting that together and then going in and leveling those out. Just sizing that up a bit. Just a little bit of cleaning, but I find it's easier to do when I work destructively. And as much as I would love to work non-destructively, sometimes I just don't come back to things as soon as I would want to, or at all. This C feels a little too over. There we go. Yeah, so, oh, let's use this L to make the D. Just kidding. Let's use this E to make the D. Now I want this to go to the right a little. Oh, is that? That is a goodly amount. I'm going to tuck it in just a little bit. Don't necessarily want it to overshoot as much as the C or any of the other rounded characters. D's kind of weird. Typically, if you look at like a lot of, there's like different ways to draw it. There's like ways where like it'll hit right at the edge. There's other ways where you can kind of make it go up and overshoot a little bit before it bows and then comes back in. But today we're just going to make it meet at the top and bottom. Like, I don't know. I want to say, in my mind, I'm like, Futura probably works like that. But I honestly, I'm not sure. I only use fonts that look like this. Just kidding. I wish my clients would let me do that. Oh my gosh, how did I not have an I? There it is. No, I took the I to make the L and didn't replace it. That doesn't make sense. There's the I. Hidden. Did you see it? Don't lie. I didn't see it either. These are locked, right? Yeah. Alright, I'm going to bring the N in a little bit. I feel like it's a little too wide comparatively with that N. And I know that's like pretty close to direct off the original, the way that was styled. But not really. Like, if you look at the original here, like these M's, like there's a lot of stuff coming off the edge of all these letters that kind of got cut off in my photograph when I was cleaning it up. And I kind of decided not to have so much of the wisps. I feel like that might be kind of tricky when I try to evolve the typeface further. Or it might be something that, you know, it might be fun to play around with, like trying to add those in glyphs with like components the same way you would do serifs, you know, like usually you anchor those and they're kind of tricky the way they play, but I don't think I've ever attempted that with a display font like this. That might be something fun to try. Nice little experiment. I'm making the lazy man's Q by flipping the O. We're going to get a little destructive with it and get this bump off its head and bring it in a little bit on the sides. Actually, a lot of it on the sides. Never mind. I've been saying never mind a lot today. I like it. All right. Gonna make our R. Just mousing around. Oh. Uh-oh. Apparently, it's using my camera, or my phone camera, as an alternate camera, and it just alerted me that there's 10% battery life going on over there. And I need to do something about that. First thing I'm going to do is disconnect it. People are probably trying to call me. Yep. All right. Hold on a second. Okay. Where were we? Ha ha ha. On the V. I'm going to bring this side down. And let's angle that a little bit just to widen it up. Probably actually going to cut some of the bottom. Oh no, maybe not. That actually works. Group. Perfect. But we will bring this wisp in a little bit just to give it the tiniest bit of variation from the W. Our X. Oh, actually, let's make the K first, which should actually be pretty fun since we have an R and a Y. So we'll go ahead and cut that. Cut the top of the R. And I'm going to angle that a little bit. And just round out that curve a little bit. Get the K looking a little bit better. Did I call that? Yeah, round out the curve. That, yeah. That's what I meant to say. Not a bad looking K. I think it fits. Something's off with it. I think it needs to tilt this way. This is going to all seem really weird. And then angle forward. Not that much. Maybe there? No? That feels like it's falling in the wrong direction. There? I think that feels a little better. This arm is going to come down just a tiny bit, and actually it's also going to duplicate and slide over just to thicken it up a little bit. And I'll redraw some of that edge there. Maybe it didn't need to come out that far. Maybe there. I think that works. And a J, we had a U this whole time. I know I always do these last. I'm going to make this J like this. It's going to, instead of going back up like I do sometimes, it's going to drop off. And it's going to drop off to a little wisp. Because it fits with the font. We're going to take the I and we're going to rotate it around. And then I'm going to transform, reflect it, so that this top piece kicks out to the left. And I'm going to slide it right in here. Cut it there. Bring the J down just the slightest. I feel like this I needs to come in there, and then the J needs to cut off there. This probably should widen up a little bit right here. Feel like that looks a little more natural and fitting. Pretty funny, so we flipped the I around, but the tops of them still look really similar to me. I know they're completely different. That's not what I'm saying. They just feel really close. So we talked about, somebody said X. We are going to slide that one up. And actually, that's going to be our uneven one, the thin line. And we're going to bring this one over and angle it a little bit. And I'm going to build up that foot on this side. And I'm going to... First, I'm going to make this wiggle slightly less. And then change the side of that foot. that was really weird. I spun that one around very All right, I'm just gonna cut that right there. This needs to come over and down. And then we'll cut that X just like that. Put the loops in just to make it look a little more natural. Holy crap. We are at the Z. We are at the end of this alphabet. It's been fun. And it's been real fun. but we have to go. Up. I don't think I'm going to flip the top of the Z. I think I'm going to leave it so it gets thick and doesn't wisp, which may not. I don't know. It might. You hear me? I'm like, I'm kind of like struggling with the idea. Like, is that a good idea? Is it going to work with the rest of the font? Is it going to be more legible as a Z? You know, I don't know. I'm working it out. And while I work it out, I'm just going to shut up and do it. Because today's the day. Group that. I want this to angle. No. That way. I shouldn't see that coming. And then rotate it a little bit. Like a little boat. Oh, look at that. The whispering mummy. Delicious. All right. So that is this week's font. Join us next week for another horror font. I've actually been I haven't been doing a lot of social media lately. Instead, I've been going through and working on old fonts, because I realized that I do 31 days of horror fonts every October, where I present 31 typefaces that I'm kind of working on and then have people vote, and then they get made. Some of them, lately, most of them have been getting releases, but I've done it for like 6 years at this point, and for the first few years, like maybe 1 or 2 of them will get released. So I've been going through trying to like find those files and update those. And in the meantime, I have a bunch of non-horror fonts that I kind of like make here and there, but I never really do anything with. So I'm thinking about getting title cards together and releasing some of those. So I don't know. We'll see if anybody's interested in that. But I don't know. Today is Horror Font Friday. So stop talking about non-horror fonts. I will see you next week. Take care of yourself. You're a great person. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.